All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and we are finally back doing our Batman the Animated Series reviews. We're on Season 1, Episode 12. It is called Appointment in Crime Alley. This one has a lot of things going on. It's directed by Boyd Kirkland and written by Jerry Conway with the story editor by Michael Reeves. A lot of good cast in this episode. We have Diana Muldaur, who plays Dr. Leslie Tompkins. They don't call her Dr. Leslie Tompkins in this because I guess they didn't really know what they were going to have her be, if this was going to be a one-shot thing. Kind of like how they didn't have Harley, give her really a name, I don't even think, when she first came on the scene. We also have Diana Muldaur. She's most famous to me as being on L.A. Law. She was the lawyer who famously walked into the open elevator shaft and caused everybody to be like, I mean, I remember even watching that episode when I was a kid and seeing the open elevator shaft, and she walked into it. I was like, holy crap. Well, she's really good in this, but we also have Jeffrey Tambor's in this as one of Daggett's villains called Crocker. He also plays a SWAT leader. If you don't know who Jeffrey Tambor is, I mean, the Larry Sanders Show, Arrested Development, Transparent, frickin' Hellboy. Jeffrey Tambor's everywhere. There's also Robert Ridgely, a man who he was a longtime character actor. He passed in the 90s. I most famously know him from Boogie Nights, where he played the Colonel, a real sleazebag role. Yeah, he passed only a few years after Boogie Nights came out. And then there's a character here named Nitro that's in the background with the glasses. Nitro is voiced by David L. Lander. And if you don't know who David L. Lander is, well, you probably don't know about a little show called Laverne and Shirley, where he played Squiggy, one part of the duo of Lenny and Squiggy. David L. Lander was Squiggy. Michael McKean from Better Call Saul, he was Lenny. David L. Lander's got a really great voice, perfect for voice acting. So he's in this as kind of he's an arsonist with the nickname Nitro. We're gonna quickly do we do our nod every time I do one of these, and I apologize if I'm a little rusty at doing these videos because it's been almost like 2 months. But we always try to give a nod to the people, the small people that worked on the show besides Kevin and Bruce Timm and Mark Hamill and all the people that you know. We try to talk about the people that don't get acknowledged. And so we're going to just give a little tip of the hat to Denise Whitfield, who was the sound reader for this episode. I tried to find out what a sound reader is, and I couldn't. I found devices that are sound readers, but I don't even know what she does. But she has 50 credits to her name. Most recently was Phineas and Ferb, going all the way back to working on the Smurfs. So she was she worked in sound for animation for a really long time. And that's our little tip of the hat to the small people out there, the little people. And that's kind of fitting, like giving acknowledgments to the little people, because this episode is kind of about the little people in a lot of ways. Some little trivia for this show. There's a van that Nitro and Crocker use that says J. Olsen and Sons. That's meant to be an allusion to Jimmy Olsen, a character from Superman. This story is also heavily based on Detective Comics number 457. It came out in March of '76. That is called There Is No Hope in Crime Alley. So they took a lot of references to that, and it's a really good episode, by the way, everybody, because I really like this one. We're going to get a couple more things here. In the mailboxes in the apartments, the mailboxes read Bruce Timm, Eric Radomski, Haven Alexander, Nicole Palliot. They're all people that work on the show. And finally, there's a scene where Batman uses the shields on the Batmobile. It doesn't happen. They don't usually do it, but it's a kind of a nod to the shields coming up on the Batmobile in Batman Returns. So, now we've gotten some of those little extra tidbits out of the way, let's talk about Appointment in Crime Alley. Because this is a really unique episode. because most episodes deal with big things, supervillains, Joker, Riddler, Penguin, all that stuff. But not every episode of this show needed to be about supervillains. It's nice to see a smaller, more contained episode, a more personal character study into Bruce's psyche. But also, this is a ticking clock episode. Even the musical score, which is really good in this episode, by the way, it has this nice lustrous feel to it. But it's also, you can feel the time without it actually ticking. You know, like it's got a tension and a momentum that really makes this episode go, oh gosh, like he's only got till 9 o'clock to like stop this all from happening in this episode. Because the ticking clock comes in because Roland Daggett, voiced by the great Ed Asner, who is still alive and kicking to this very day, he has this great scene where he's giving this speech, and he's like towering over the city. They show, and all of a sudden he's talking about like the plans that he has for the future of this area of Gotham that's called Park Row, but now called Crime Alley. And you see all these explosions happen, and you're like, whoa, dude just blew up like a whole city block of buildings. But then they pan out, and you see that it's just a model. And that is such a great, I mean, movies. That is a movie level shot to pull off in animation. Like they give this huge scope and then pull out, and it's just this little tiny thing that hasn't even happened yet. It's just somebody rigged up a model to blow up. I thought that was freaking amazing. Just a great reveal. And this whole thing kind of makes me feel very much like a Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen kind of story, where the area that used to be nice has now been, all known for crime and drugs and violence, and Daggett planning on, taking this area down for urban development. And how Batman's the guy that's got to try to help protect the good people of Crime Alley, or Park Row, however you want to put it. And Bruce knows that Daggett's up to something, but coincidentally today is a very important day. It's the death of his the anniversary of his parents' death in Crime Alley. We don't know that you're not supposed to know that until the rest of the episode ends. But I mean, anybody that's worth their salt knows anything about Batman knows where this is headed from the very beginning. But it's the journey, like that's interesting here. So we got Daggett's men forcing people out of their homes. Bats, comes in, and this is where he gets the exposition from one of the characters that he's forcing people out of their homes, telling them they have no, they don't have a choice. And this is where we're introduced to Leslie Tompkins, who, is waiting for Bruce, but he's been delayed. He's trying to get to her. That's another cool thing about this episode, is he keeps trying to get to his appointment, and these things keep happening. So first he has to save the mother and the daughter, and she's wondering where he is. So she heads off because this is her town. This is her area. This is her little section of Gotham, and she's not afraid of it. She's been there for like 30 years, she says. Where she stumbles upon the plot here of these guys getting ready to blow the place up, and they capture her. Now, the only thing I thought about is in the real world, if this were to happen, she dead. Okay, there is no tying her up here and keeping her quiet. And especially if they're going to blow her up anyway, like why not just kill her? I know that's a horrible thing to say, but I mean, I'm trying to think realistically as a plot. But it's a small thing. It's a kid's show. It's a kid's show. So, anyway, Bats goes on searching, and she finds out that they're basically blowing up this whole block for this, just for progress. They say it's just business. It's like, holy shit, you're going to kill a whole bunch of people that wouldn't move out for progress. But so he keeps going, like Bats keeps running into things. He has to foil a hostage situation from a person who was being evicted, and he takes like a Daggett employee hostage. And Batman has to come in and save the day. So he keeps getting thrown into these other situations while he's trying to look for Leslie. And he hasn't even found out about the bombs yet. he gets to her place and he goes through her book. She's got these book of memories and newspaper clippings that all have to do with what happened to his parents and her, and it shows their relationship. It shows that she's known him since he was a little boy, and took him in, and so they have this special bond, this special relationship. Um, so finally, Bruce or Bats, he finally talks to the homeless man that witnessed Leslie being taken, and he gets the information. It's in this scene. I wrote down. Bats does a lot of disappearing acts. We usually see him do that to like Commissioner Gordon, where he turns around and he's not there. But in this, he does it to like everyone. He does it to the SWAT guys. He does it to the homeless man. He did it to, I believe he did it to earlier in the episode as well. He does a lot of disappearing acts, and there's a lot of kick something, and all the setbacks that happen. Like the next thing that happens is there's a runaway trolley, or we get a really great action sequence where the Batmobile is kind of spun out on its side and the tires get blown out. So it takes away one of Batman's most useful tools in his arsenal to get around Gotham City. And so now search all this area all on his own without the use of his car, which is where he puts the shields on. But he finally catches up to Nitro and Crocker, who they try to get out. They try to weasel their way out of it. But he opens up the back door of their truck, and there's all this TNT sitting there. And he throws them onto the TNT. And the first thing I thought was, I know, I ramble, I go on to other things because one thing makes me think of another thing that can make me think of another thing. The first thing I thought of when he threw those guys onto the TNT was Dr. Arntz from season 1 of Lost, the guy who was really delicately trying to handle the dynamite, and spoilers, went boom. And so I was like, man, how did he not just blow everybody up? And then again, it's a daytime show made for kids, even though all of us as adults still love it. You can't just have people getting blown up willy-nilly. But even they acknowledge it, because the guy Nitro is like, don't you know what you're doing, man? This stuff is flammable, you're going to blow us all up. So at least they acknowledge that. But Nitro gives up the goods immediately. Roland Daggett made us do this. This is all his job. We've only got till 9 o'clock to stop all these bombs from going off and killing everybody. So things kind of get wrapped up kind of quickly. Where Bats finds Leslie Tompkins, he gets that bomb turned off. She tells him about the hotel. So he gets there to save all those people. And so you assume that Bats has saved the day, that he's gotten to the people that need to be, saved. And at the hotel, you see a lot of the people who are evicted out of their houses are there. Now, does that mean that they're the only people left? They don't say. Because we then go to Roland Daggett's speech, the same speech he gave at the beginning of the episode, where he's just talking horrible, it's kind of dark and horrible about, people, this area is just, they don't deserve this place. This is for progress, and, we can't let these scumbags basically get in the way of our, the city's future, his future really, and what he can make off of it, the money he can make and all this. And you think that you're going to have that scene where the bomb's supposed to go off, the cliche, where the villain thinks he's gotten away with it, and then there's no bomb. And then he'd be like, what? And then Batman would show up, drop the, blasting caps or the bomb in front of him, lose something kind of story, but no. In this, what happens is the bombs go off. Batman was not able to stop all the bombs from going off. He was able to save. They want you to believe, I think, that he saved everybody. It's, again, nice, clean kids show thing. You're not supposed to think that some of those buildings had people still in them. But I'd like to think that there were probably people in some of those buildings, and it's a story about how, as much as he tries, he can't save everyone from these people that are determined to ruin Gotham City to supposedly save it. Because Daggett, in his own way, I think, his twisted logic is, I'm making the city, when really it's just ego, greed, corrupt, and all that. And again, Daggett's one of the best villains because he's just a guy. Same as some of the crime people in this. Um, they're just people. Like the episode that we reviewed a little while back, where the guy, the two, the mafia guy was trying to get, they were trying to get him to leave the organization. These are just guys. These aren't Jokers. These aren't Riddlers. These aren't Clayfaces, or even Two-Face, who's coming up pretty soon. Which is, he was just a guy too, and they're just as dangerous at times. And so he gets away with it. I mean, Batman presents them. The cops are all there. Gordon was there. Bullock was there. I think, or maybe they were at the hostage situation. Yeah, they were at the hostage situation, but not this yet. And he gives them, he puts Crocker and Nitro right in front of Daggett and says, your guys are going to tell on you. And he's like, oh, what do you mean? I don't know. Like these guys. And Crocker's like, Mr. Daggett, you're telling us what, we're just doing what you told us to do. And he cuts him off and tells the officers, you know what to do. And he takes them away. And you're kind of meant to assume that these guys are going to jail and they're probably going to be too afraid to talk. Because Daggett just kind of looks at Batman, and Batman looks at him, and he's just basically like, what are you going to do? All these people around, what are you going to do? I won. And he did. He won this round. He didn't get everything he wanted. He wasn't able to, kill, he didn't kill as many people as he was planning on or cared about killing. Because he gives that great line where he's like, these people don't value human life like we do. Right after the explosions. Kind of like, this was before the LA riots, too. And, that city being on fire. And a lot of the commentary around that. And this guy who did all this, who blew all this stuff up, is trying to blame it on the people of this area blowing it up. At the very convenient time that he's giving his speech, the whole area just blows up, right? It may be a little heavy-handed there, and a little plot convenience, but we got 20 minutes to tell a story, so you got to get over it sometimes. And Daggett, Batman has to sit there and watch Daggett just walk away. And this is the anniversary of his parents' death, so we're talking about justice here. So, he's been trying to get justice for his parents all these years, and he, on the day of his parents' anniversary of their death, he has to watch another really bad person walk away and get away with it. And Tompkins has to tell him, you can't win every battle, basically. You have to, he won't be able to outrun this forever, that kind of thing. Even though you could tell Batman just wanted to take this guy apart. And they talk about how there's good people still in Crime Alley, and they go to where his parents died, and he's like, good people still live in this, in this area. And just that personal connection of them at putting down the roses. It's a motif that's been used in everything from the video games to the original Batman, 89 with Michael Keaton, dropping the roses off at the anniversary, and you see Tompkins and Batman kind of hold each other a little bit, and then they flash really quickly. At the very last shot is him and her comforting him as a young boy at the actual event of his parents' death. And that is such a beautiful, beautiful way to end it. So it's just, I saw that this only got a 7.8 from reviewers, and I'm like, what are you talking about? This is a 9.9 out of 10. This is a 10 out of 10. Because it just tells this amazing story that I can't believe was done in 20 minutes. He had a ticking clock story where Batman loses in a way. He does what he can. Again, kind of also that point of the story is you can only do so much. So anyway, just a fantastic episode. Next episode we're doing is POV, an episode that when it came out, I was like, it wasn't one of my favorites, but now over the years, because of episodes like this, I appreciate the writing more than I just do. Back then I just wanted to see Joker every week. Now as I'm an adult, I really appreciate these smaller stories. And next week we've got kind of a nice human story too, because we're dealing with Bullock and I think Montoya and everybody's perspective of a crime that happened. So anyway, if you like this review, please hit the like button. comment, share, subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, you can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. If you feel so inclined, you can donate to my channel to make it better so we can get things for the channel, whether it's software and things like that. Things that we just need to make better videos. You can go to my PayPal at paypal.me/smirkinggunreviews, or go to my Ko-Fi page at ko-fi.com/smirkinggunreviews as well. So anyway, thank you guys for checking this out. This is Rob saying we'll see you next week for more Batman. Bye.